I'm Dawn Novetsky, K-SALT Program Assistant, interviewing Art Khaw. Art was part of the Flipped Learning Initiative.
Yes, I was. I was really excited to complete the project, and it was a really productive project, and it was well worthwhile the time.
Excellent. Art, what is flipped learning to you?
Flipped learning is where the students do a lot of the work outside class, so your time on task in class is more efficient and more productive. So what happens is that in my class, my students have to listen and view my presentations outside class time. And again, I want to remind people that for a college class, for 1 credit hour equates to 3 hours outside class time. And oftentimes, we as professors, our expectations of our students sometimes are a little bit lacking. But if we challenge our students to view these lecture presentations outside class, it makes in-class time more productive.
How did you learn about the flipped learning model?
It was about 2 years ago. K-SALT did, I believe, a Winter Institute on Flipped Learning, and that's how I got interested in it. I really did not do a whole lot on flipped learning the first time around. I needed just a couple of semesters to grasp the philosophy, to grasp exactly what flipped learning is all about, to grasp the methodology of flipped learning. So it took me about 2 semesters to really buy into it. Yeah.
How did you implement the flipped learning model?
It was actually quite a long process in the sense that I wanted to start at the end first. So I wanted to take a look at the learning objectives and what I wanted to accomplish with my assignments, my units, my modules. So I looked at the end first and then basically work backwards. So it's what we call backwards design. And essentially, once we have the vision of what we wanted to impart to our students, we work backwards and then figured out the exercises, the application activities, and all of the assignments that they needed to do to fulfill the learning objectives.
What were the challenges you faced?
I think the biggest one is obviously time. You need time, you need a lot of energy in terms of really investing in this project, because the startup time is quite enormous. But I think your students will be able to see the fruits of your labor, because what happens is the fact that once the student starts applying the knowledge that they should have gained outside class, learning becomes much more valuable and it's much more insightful.
What was or is your students' reaction to the model?
Initially, I think there was a little bit of resistance in the sense that they wanted the professor to physically teach in the class, but I have done that. But what happens is that they have to invest in some time outside class time. So we know that sometimes students do not do options. So one of the things that I would encourage people to do if they were to pursue flipped learning is to come up with an accountability system in your class to make sure that your students watch the videos or the lecture presentations before they come to class. And in my class, what I do is I have what we call a readiness assurance test. So before we do the activities, they have to take the readiness assurance test to determine that they have the basic knowledge to move on.
Do you have any advice or tips for your colleagues?
Yeah, I think you really have to think things through. You can't jump into it without knowing exactly what you want. You know, the old adage is that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that's exactly the same thing with flipped learning. You've got to have a vision of what you want to do, and once you have your vision, you want to basically conclude with your learning objectives as far as what is it that you want to accomplish, and then work backwards. And I think that's the best approach to complete the project. I would not ask or advise people to do this all in a week or two. It really takes about a whole semester to do a great job. So do it slowly but surely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any additional tips that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think use the resources at K-SALT. We have Wilson and we have Jeremy, and they're instructional designers. Now, I'm not very technically savvy, so I needed a lot of skill building in terms of working with Camtasia, Movie Maker. Those kinds of things I was a little bit uncomfortable with. But I think like anything else, once you start trying it, your comfort level increases. So my biggest counsel to my colleagues is that I think you want to start off small, maybe flip a unit or module, and then see how you feel, reflect on it, and then move on.
Excellent. Thank you, Art.
You're welcome.